Welcome to Two Women Chatting with Liz and Michelle. Enjoying life in our 50s, we're also empty nesters, looking to reinvent, reset, have fun and talk about topics with experts and friends that affect us, our kids and our families. So grab a cuppa and join us on the sofa for a chat. There's always room for one more. We're not tech savvy, but we do our best. But it's a learning curve. All bumps, clicks and noises are our own. Come on in and have a seat. So how have you been then?
Busy.
Yeah? What have you been up to?
Well, you know what I've been up to. It was helping you.
Oh no. That was a good event though, wasn't
Put
it?
your tea down. Oh,
For a
yes,
slurp.
put mine down as well.
Yeah. That was really fun. Wasn't it great to be outside?
That was fantastic.
We did this event that we sponsored the raffle for. So it was called the Jubilee Trail in our little village. And honestly, it was so fun. So many people coming out, and businesses and residents, and all the shops were doing
Lots of
food
and drink.
Oh, and we had great
Free
weather, free mojitos, free margaritas, and yeah, it was a bit of a pub crawl, really.
No, I didn't. I didn't go. Yeah, well, actually, I did have a few, but not till the end. I was good, but I wasn't so sure about those pictures. I looked a bit like a cranky. I did.
Which cranky?
little. Oh yeah, there's two of them, aren't there? Yeah. The little Jimmy cranky. Yeah, little round
Jimmy
person.
Cranky.
Yeah. I've had my hair cut. That's why.
Yeah.
That's my excuse.
No,
that's even worse. I've got a little pudding bowl.
Oh, I went to the podcast show.
Oh yeah.
That was so great. So it's the first time there's been a podcast show in the country, and I got to see Elizabeth Day, from How to Fail.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mother Pucker, be careful how you say that. Mm-hmm. She was there. Anna and Louisa from Luana.
Wow.
It's a great podcast,
Yeah.
Brilliant one.
Not as good as ours.
Not dissimilar.
I wish, yeah.
Not dissimilar. Oh, and who else did I see? Oh, Jenny Falconer. She was comparing. So for me, and it was a shame that you couldn't come, but
I'm on holiday.
I know.
For once, I was one on holiday.
No, I was glad you're on holiday, but I could have gone with my wingman.
True, yeah. I'll be there next time, yeah.
But it was just brilliant, walking around and getting a lot of energy from all the people there who everyone's really into podcasts, and I was introduced to a new one. Oh, got a lovely tote bag made by Spotify with our logo. What did I
You
didn't
were sad. No, you made it without. Oh, I see. I thought you
Yeah.
just got a Spotify one.
No, it was with our logo on. I'll show it to you. I only got one though.
Oh, that's nice.
They only
Share.
gave one. They only
So it's
gave one per
one woman
person.
chatting.
Yeah, just the one woman. Oh, and I've got to tell you this story. I went round to my mum's the other day. And
She was lovely on Saturday.
she loved being there. She was in her wheelchair. She can't see everything, but she can, she takes in, the atmosphere and, the bright colours and stuff. She can see a lot of that. You'll laugh at this. I went round to her. My sister was there, and we sort of tag team with her. My sister does way more than I do, but I was over there to go and look after her, make her lunch and stuff. And my sister brings out this pair of trousers. And I didn't know. She said, "Oh, do you think you can just get Mum to put these on so that I can hem them to the right length?" And I look at these trousers. Liz, I got to up my game. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I have those trousers.
They got elasticated waist.
They're great for travel. I'm not joking. Well, I am. No. No, I saw these trousers and I thought,
Perfect.
what is wrong with me? I'm wearing the same kind of trousers as my 89-year-old mother.
No.
Oh, anyway, that was funny. But I don't know that I can wear them again.
Oh, you can.
No, I'm going to think that every time.
Yeah. What colour were they?
They were nice. They were like just blue, navy, patterned, because I thought if I spill anything on them when I'm travelling, you won't see it. Well, clearly, you wouldn't see if an 89-year-old woman also spilt her lunch on them.
Do you not feel, therefore, that the fact you're going that way, the fact you're worried about spilling things or buying clothes that actually sort of
No, but the trouble
hide
is,
the stains?
but I'm buying them online. So, if I was going into a high street store, I'm not going to say the name of it, but if I was going into that high street store, I know which section would be aimed at me and my age group. But because I'm online, I just Google blue trousers or
comfortable
but that's
blue
just the matter,
trousers.
is it? It's just the fact you've got comfortable trousers. It doesn't matter.
Never
if your
wearing
mum
them
wears
again.
them.
No, and they are a bit baggy around the
Yeah, but
bottom.
can you imagine
Actually,
if one of your kids did the same? That I've got these. Oh, mum's got those. I can't wear them.
they would. So no,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
saying to me
Yeah.
that you've had a few people say that our podcast has like prompted some, I don't know, just maybe they've talked about things a bit more, but they're feeling a bit of a loss.
I don't know whether it's coming out of lockdown, but yeah, quite a few, 2 or 3. And I don't ask everyone, but they're saying they feel a bit lost, a bit doubting themselves. I think that's perhaps it. Doubting and what am I going to do when I haven't met any new people? See, I was lucky I met you.
You are
Yeah,
incredibly
very
lucky.
And you forced me into this podcast. Lark, as I called it. Which is really, I don't. But no, so yeah. And the funniest thing was talking about it, and Alexa must have been listening.
You've always got to say that, whisper. And Alexa might have been listening, because otherwise they might listen. No, seriously, I've probably
So what
got
you
an
have to
Alexa
do-
in here. So,
Yeah, but haven't you whispered that you want the diamond bracelet? You shout that.
that's a good idea. Yes,
But
get that algorithm up on my husband's
it's
phone.
quite frightening though that actually someone's listening. So it popped up on my LinkedIn. I had a look at their website, and it's incredible, amazing. It's so
Really?
inspirational. Yeah, it inspires you to not think that you're not capable of doing something after 55. So
Well, that's what we talk about all the time,
exactly,
isn't it? A bit of reinvention.
Yeah, that midlife isn't the end of it. It's the fact is, I guess that's it. That my friends were sort of saying, what's left or whatever. What should we do? But they help people find new jobs, finance, just give ideas, inspire them. There's self-assessments on there. It's all free advice, which is great. And you could find a job. So just to basically say, I say it's implying that we perhaps stop ourselves from doing things as well. I can't do technology. I say to you, that I'm rubbish at it. But why can't I? Why can't I? Well, don't look
I'm
like that.
pretty rubbish at
No,
it
you're
too.
fantastic. But it's I think it's within us that some of us say, we can't do it because we're 55.
So you put down your own
58.
barriers?
Yeah, that's it. I've got to be bolder.
Or you've been told as you've grown up and been in different careers that you can't do it, or this is what you're best at. So maybe you just don't think about other areas that you're really good at.
Yeah. And
I've spoken to a few people as well, quite recently. And my friend, so 2 examples, a couple of friends of mine. One is Caroline. She was this really good advertising exec, lived all over the world, gave it all up, had kids, stayed at home and stuff. Now her kids are leaving. She has completely retrained as a nutritional therapist and has a little side angle of beekeeping.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I know, isn't that cool? And then another friend who I'd met in Singapore, Natalie, she was approaching this whole, she knew she was going to be a bit bored and missing the kids and stuff. So she, and it's quite hard to get these, so I know she was pretty tenacious. She is now a chaperone for kids on film sets.
Oh, that's good.
How cool is that?
But how does she? Is she that type of person that's? Oh, sorry. Hit the microphone. But is she the type of person always been really outgoing and proactive? Because I think this is it that I thought I was. And
I would have always said you were outgoing. I mean, I haven't known you when you were younger,
No,
but
I
to
was.
me, you appear to be very
but I lost. That's
together.
what I'm saying. Is at that age, and I think, as I said, they maybe pinned the age exactly 55. I lost my confidence. Kids gone, left home, empty nester. Just felt, I can't do anything. I'm used. I did feel a bit useless. Yeah, I'm going to be honest here. I know everyone's listening, and I don't like to open up about it, but I did feel a bit. This is it. I'm.
But you never come across that way.
No, but I met you.
No,
But
but
that's
I
the
mean,
whole
even when I
point.
first met you, I didn't know you that well.
No,
and
I chatty, but I wouldn't have the confidence to go and find a new job. It's hard to find one. That's the whole point. It's ageist. You're over 55. The chances of a company employing you is difficult. But it just, I just lost. I lost my way. I think that's it.
Lost your
And I
spark,
think
your
that's
mojo.
it. My mojo. But it's it.
Yeah.
And you just think. And that's what my friends I think are going through the stage at the moment. They're going, and not having the confidence to go out and find something new. And that's what this organisation is offering. It's offering, this sounds really a bit negative now, hope, but you just need someone to maybe kick up the backside. I think that's it.
I love a kick up the backside. No, I do. I just think sometimes You either get it from a friend or you get it from a professional place or whatever it is. But just maybe looking at your life, and if you're not happy with what it is, change it.
Yeah, it was
Easier to say than it is to do. But
there's help out there.
If you're in your 50s and you're lucky enough to live, what, these days, 90? That's
91, yeah.
Well, that's a heck of a long time to not be satisfied with where you are. So I think you should do something about it.
Well, I did. I'm doing a podcast. And this is, and as you know, this is totally out of my comfort zone. What gave it away?
Yeah, I did well.
I'm not... So that's why I wanted to interview Lindsay.
Okay, well, let's have a chat with Lindsay then. She can join us on the sofa.
So a warm welcome to our guest today, Lyndsey Simpson. She's the founder and CEO of 55 Redefined, an organisation that fly the flag for those who may be getting older but have no intention of slowing down. They celebrate the optimism of today's over 50s. And I love this. They advocate for age diversity, positivity and inclusion across all areas of life. Cool. Before founding 55 Redefined, Lindsay was the CEO of the Curve Group. She's a passionate entrepreneur, board advisor, investor, and recognised as one of the UK's 50 most inspirational female entrepreneurs. Well, welcome, Lindsay. Thanks for joining us.
Now, you don't look like your target market to me. You look like a lot younger than that. So is this your mission for older people like us?
So I am just turned 44, so you're quite right. And I support...
Lucky I said that then.
The amazing amount of people that go to me, wow, you look really good for your age. And I'm like, I don't know how old you think I am. Yeah, 55 Redefined is the parent company because it was the average age that we saw people's lives started to pivot, and kind of 50 to 55 things started to change. Your career aspirations start to change. Often your family circumstances start to change. So if you've got children, that's often the age, because you're keeping into your mid-50s, that they're going to university and they're leaving home. It's a peak age for divorce, so people starting again in their lives.
It is? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's weirdly, divorce is...
Oh, God, I'm only 53.
Well, it's reducing in the younger age group, but it's peaking in the 50s and 60s as people, I think, are realising that...
Because it's the change, when you're questioning it.
Questioning everything. Well, and also... life has changed a lot. So, divorce never used to be quite so acceptable as it is these days. It was also financially quite difficult for people to separate, whereas these days people are more affluent than their parents were and have got that ability. But also we're living 30 years longer. And so if you don't particularly like somebody, then thinking, it's not for a couple more years. It's like, oh, this is another 40 years I've got to do this. And so people really are kind of questioning their lives. That's
so true. Why would you... Yeah. You don't have to stay if it's if it's a miserable
exactly.
experience.
So 55 we thought was the pivot point, and we support people kind of in the lead up to that as they're working out what do they do, what do they want to do, what should life, this next stage look like, and then in the bit after, wherever they've pivoted in whatever their new life looks to be.
You hit that spot on, because that 55 was when I had that sort of question myself. Literally when I was 55.
It's really weird.
And it coincides with becoming empty nesters and and you do, I think, start being somewhat introspective and thinking, well, what am I going to do now? There's a lot of, got skills, got mad skills from, maybe we've been dormant for a while. I suppose that's the way I look at it. But I mean, if you've had kids at school and maybe you've stayed off work or you've given up your career.
Yeah.
But during that time, you've learned a lot of skills, haven't you? If you've, volunteered at school, been on the PTA, managed even kids' parties, or just multitasked 2 or 3 kids getting to this activity, that school, getting their homework done. We're actually brilliant multitaskers, a lot of us women, if you've had kids. And if you haven't had kids, you may have had a career or done something else. But I think, us sort of mature women... we're pretty good at handling lots of things at the same time, aren't we?
I think so. And I think it's generally women themselves that give themselves a hard time and don't have the confidence to perhaps push themselves forward. When they're asked perhaps a question around, can you demonstrate negotiation skills? they think, oh, well, I haven't been at work for 15 years, so I can't do it. And I'm like, well, if you've negotiated a child to eat broccoli, then you have negotiation skills. So, and it probably outweighs everybody else around you. And it is also just life experience. We are, as we're currently recording this, entering a stormy period of finances. We've got, interest rates going up. We've got inflation at an all-time high. We've got, choppy waters going on. And actually, it's only people that are really in their mid to late 40s and beyond, in their 50s and 60s, that have seen this before, that know what it was like in the 80s to have 25% interest rate and a mortgage, know what it was like in 2000 and 2008 when people suddenly kind of crashed. And actually living through that and knowing that you got out the other side is also a really useful skill for businesses to be able to embrace when they're bringing people back.
But it might also be a very good time for people looking right now, how can I plug the gap in my finances? What can I do? And I think isn't somewhere on your website, what really attracted me was you could work for 3 months and then chase the ski season, or go and do food festivals all around the world. Great way of, I love this kind of flexi working. Tell us a bit about what are employers looking for in women like us who have skill sets, don't particularly want to do Monday to Friday 9 to 5, or we want to embrace our empty nesting freedom.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I have to say, for me, it's the biggest positive to come out of the pandemic. The COVID pandemic is that the ability to work flexibly, remotely, and make that work from a systems and a productivity perspective is the biggest gain that we've had, because it's enabled employers that pre-pandemic would have had to have people physically in an office or a contact centre. Training was always done face-to-face at a particular time, and working patterns were either full-time or when they were part-time, they were still pretty rigid, 9 till 3, these set days, none of this kind of flexi work. And I think the world has woken up to the fact that actually, you've got 24 hours in a day, you've got 7 days in a week, and people can come forward and say, this is what I'm able to do, and they can find a way to make that work. So yes, the 3 months a year example is when we talk to people in the accountants profession, so accountancy, tax advisory, their biggest issue as a company is tax year end. So every customer needs help tax year end. They don't have enough people. It's a 2 to 3 month squeezy period for them, and that you can't just bring in a temp. You need somebody that understands, tax and accountancy. And so you've then got this army of retired accountants and tax advisors that don't want to work full time, but actually working 3 months a year and then being retired 9 months a year and topping up all of their savings and income. Well, fabulous, and we've got, I've literally got a list as long as your arm. We've got a really interesting employer about to launch a campaign called The Workshop, and they're one of the biggest gaming companies in the UK. So if you see like the little games you get on your phone or casino games that are advertised on the TV, and they're set up an office in Malaga. And so they're wanting to attract people that are interested in inventing games and creating new technologies, to spend half of the year living and working in Spain in the winter and then come back to the UK in the summer and work from there.
Yeah, pick me.
Exactly. And, and
You've got the tech skills.
And again, it's a classic one where people go, well, gaming and technology, that's a young person's game. I'm like, well, the largest users of online games are actually over 50s. They're the ones that are, got the budget to spend on casinos and bingo games. And also, it's no point having a 20-something-year-old developing a Sudoku game for a 60-year-old. You need the users to match the audience. So there's so many different examples now.
That's interesting. But how do you find those people to think they can do that? Because as soon as you said that, a 60-year-old designing a game, I just wouldn't think there was anyone out there.
No, exactly. Well, often what happens is they're generally people that are perhaps in technology, but over the years have progressed. So the fact that they're leading an IT department or they're, leading a team in a big company, but actually where it all began for them was just tinkering around with a bit of code and, actually inventing things when they were in their, university or, early career. And so actually reaching out to those people and saying, you can combine your passion with actually paid work now. So you reach a point in your career sometimes for those people that it's not all about the money. It's about doing something that you enjoy. It's not about leading teams if that's not floats your boat anymore. And so we reach out with stories and just try and really share these are the things that you can do. Next week we go live with a campaign for the Commonwealth Games. So we're going to be leading a charge to get over 50s organising the Commonwealth Games, which is in Birmingham in a couple of months' time in July. And again, it's like, the instant reaction is these things are normally staffed by university, gap leave, young people that come in and do it. And I'm like, well, rubbish. Who are the people that love sport, that have got the time to take a 3-month, stint into a role and not be chasing and worried about what comes after that 3 months? Well, that's your over 50s community. So watch this space. I think there's a lot more coming.
Well, you mentioned one of the positives of COVID is that, we can have more flexi hours working from home and stuff. I also think it sort of ignited in the population a willingness to volunteer. I worked at a vaccine centre as a marshal, and actually I think it kept me really sane during lockdown. I loved doing it. I loved meeting people. I didn't suffer from that sort of, that isolation outside of your family at all. But I met lots of people who were almost like full-time volunteers. And, if you're feeling a little bit of a lack of purpose, whether you're paid for work that, over 55s can do, or you're finding a volunteering opportunity, it is incredibly fulfilling. Not to sound really like patronising.
No, it's not. It's true. You're meeting other people.
It gives you maybe a bit of purpose, and actually maybe volunteering before you start putting your resume around to get a job.
Exactly, because that's what we tell the kids to do. Get some work experience before you get your job in the area you want to go into.
Yeah, that's so true. And we don't think about it for us, do we?
I mean, you're quite right, Michelle. Volunteering is an area that we see a growth in people in their 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond. It is also an area that has grown with post-pandemic and accessibility. So if I give you a great example, so pre the pandemic again, most people when they associated volunteering would think I'm going to volunteer my time in a shop, or I'm going to go and do fundraising. And it was very physical in-person commitment, which a lot of people don't have the time to do, or they have a disability or caring responsibilities, which means that they can't commit to that kind of structure. But, one charity we partner, for example, is called Bookmark Reading. And they are a children's reading charity that have identified that the proportion of people that make it into the prison service and unfortunately into criminal behaviour have a very high propensity to be illiterate. And they're generally from families where they don't have a English speaking parent, or somebody that's able to read with them. And so again, that would have been, pre-pandemic, quite a commitment to go and physically travel to a child, to sit down and read with them and help them with their reading skills. But you can volunteer 1 hour a week now to just do a Zoom or a Teams call with a child. They have the book, you have the book, you just listen to them reading, and you're helping children across the country and giving an hour or two of your time. And so all of these types of charities are now benefiting where, there's people that have got kind of access and a bit more confidence now with using video
So the
tools.
tech has moved on. But how great a job would that be for an empty nester who is missing their kid who's gone off to college to connect with children across the country? It doesn't cost them anything. They can do it at home. I love that. I'll do that one. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask a question that, for example, if somebody wanted to set up a business, you were saying about, the game, tech people maybe, working for a company designing the games. What happens if they want to do it themselves? Could they get the funding because they're over 55?
Yes, I don't think there's any age restriction on funding for businesses. In fact, the most successful startups in the UK start from age 45 and beyond. So statistically, you are more successful as a startup if you are aged over 45. There is significant growth in entrepreneurs over 50 and 60 at the moment, and in all sectors. So some of those are pursuing their passions, so becoming florists or carpenters and things where they've perhaps got a trade, whereas others are literally, they've come up with an idea and, services businesses or a retail business and getting going. what we do find is if someone has never run a business before, what's often quite a good place to start would actually be franchising. And so the British Franchise Association have got a huge amount of resources on their site about, what franchises are available. You get then the support and the structure around it. But if you're looking to start up your own business, then the banks are providing a lot more support. So Santander, for example, have got a breakthrough program for entrepreneurs, and they specifically are targeting over 50s. So they again are a bank that are recognising that actually it de-risks the investment from a bank perspective if you have somebody with some life and some work experience that's actually setting up, rather than somebody straight out of school that has never worked at all a day in their life.
Is that quite recent?
Yes, it is. Yeah, again, it's I think the statistics are just kind of coming out now about the average age of entrepreneurs. And partly a lot of people have gone into that route because they felt ageism in the traditional corporate lives. So they kind of, they maybe hit 30 years service where they worked. So maybe they're in the police force and one of the services where you're forced to retire after 30 years. Or perhaps they've just worked for the same organisation for a long period of time and took the opportunity for early retirement, but they're not ready to stop. And so that we're seeing people are literally retraining and starting again. I mean, we have on Life Redefined, liferedefined.co on our site, we have career resources which cross over starting a business through to, working for somebody else, and kind of everything in between, volunteering, to just people to get purposeful work. Because, you mentioned earlier, Michelle, about the link between just that social interaction and it, being positive. And what we find is, as we get older, there are lots of things we can try and tackle. We can try and tackle health or housing or disability, or work. But the one thing that centres it is if you have some form of purposeful work, and that could be paid or not paid, it improves every other facet around you. It improves your mental health. So, there's a direct decline when you stop purposeful work in your mental agility, your physical ability, your social interaction, the size of breadth of your community that you reach out to. And so, we are big advocates that actually, we're benefiting from adding so many healthy years to life, but they're only healthy if you're actually living those years in a purposeful way. And I think, whether that's bringing your hobby to life and making that your thing, or whether that is volunteering or, going back into work and retraining from scratch, we know that has a significantly positive influence on every other element of your life.
And you can help with that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we are all about no boundaries, really. So, as I said, we don't have an upper...
It must be like a therapy session. Like when people come to you, they must like, oh, I'm feeling really lost, I don't know what to do, got no skills. And then talk to you like, well, actually, I think you'll find that you're an incredible event organiser, or, you draw skills out of people and make them realise their worth again.
Yeah, we're not...
You can assess... Do you assess people?
We are a platform.
Is that the right word, assess?
Yes, it is the right word. So we are a platform. So we're not a in-person support. So I'm afraid, you can't pick up the phone to us and talk to us. We're not going to hold your hand through it, because there's unfortunately millions of people over 50 and we're trying to help everybody. And so we're about providing inspiration, insight and action in a self-help way. So, for example, on Life Redefined, there are 25 courses, e-learning courses, that you can put yourself through for free that would normally cost you £400 or £500 per course, but we're providing them for free to help people to self-develop. There is a self-assessment, so you can do your own psychometric profile to understand what your motivators are, what your strengths are, what your weaker areas are. So you just know a bit more about your own personality and how to present that to somebody such as an employer. So we're all about the self-help piece, but a lot of it is about inspiration. What we find the most helpful is when we bring to life real stories, real people, and then people can go, well, if they can do that, actually, why can't I do that? If they can go back to university at 75 and study nutrition and then become a nutritionist at 76, why can't I do that? And so that's a big part of where we're then always sharing stories of, we've got, everything from sculptors to postmen to florists to everything in the middle, and so I think when people can see that something's possible and the only barriers there are perhaps the ones that they've put themselves up or they think society has put up in front of them, I think there's a lot more people kind of smashing through them now.
As Liz said, it's showcasing and inspiring. You don't have to just work in a shop or do childcare. I think a lot of women our age sort of fall into that, I'll be a babysitter, or I'll walk dogs, or I'll go and work in a grocery store, all those things. But I think we should really believe in ourselves a lot more and just go out there and get something that we're I think key to it is passion, isn't it? If you're really interested and you're passionate, it gives you energy and it gives you purpose, as we've said before. And like, you're back in the mainstream and you're saving for your next holiday on the African plains or wherever you want to go, right? Or just being able to pay your gas bill in this current situation.
I think there are lots of ways that people are looking at work. Sometimes it is about passion. Sometimes it is around the hard facts of needing an income. Unfortunately, the other statistic that comes with being in this age group is being a widow. You are far more likely to be widowed in your 50s and 60s than you are, in your early career. And so people find that they then need to go back to work because they have to financially, or sometimes because actually their life plan has gone away. I was having a chat recently with a chap that's in our ecosystem that had his life plan sorted. He and his wife had bought a lovely house, door upper in France. They've both worked 30 plus years career. They're going to retire, going to do up the house in France, going to maybe do like a bit of B&B in, and that was going to be the next kind of 20 years. And then she got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And so, life changes. And so with that moment in time, it's like, actually, I only wanted to retire because I could do that. I don't actually want to retire and live in France on my own. That wasn't the plan. And so actually, how can I stay back at work? But how can I do something different so it doesn't just feel more of the same? And so I think these reevaluation points, and, the other thing we hear a lot is the word boredom. So one of the biggest reasons people leave their career and retire earlier than they can do or should do, is because they're just bored. They fell into an industry, they fell into a role, perhaps their parents pushed them into it when they was a kids, and they find themselves just going, I don't want to do another day of this, let alone another 10, 15 years. And so it's not always about a passion, it is sometimes just learning something new. Lots of the financial services companies we work with, such as Hargreaves Lansdown, Barclays, they're keen to encourage people in this age group that have never worked in financial services. And they're like, we'll treat you as we would an 18-year-old, that you've got motivations, you've got life skills, you've got interests, but we will teach you everything else. We will teach you how banks work.
So I just have one quick question. Finally, thank goodness, the menopause is being talked about a lot by celebrities on TV, in documentaries. Women are rushing out to get HRT, which is in limited supply, and then we're not getting it. Okay. Of how women are affected by brain fog, which Liz and I often talk about, that, we'll forget our words or something. How, and I'm not trying to put, well, I can't think of my words, right?
Brain fog.
There's my brain fog. That was it.
Yeah.
I had a really good sentence and it was complete.
But you can't do that if you're in business and you're trying to make a presentation. If you get brain fog.
Yeah. So how does this talk about menopause and women getting brain fog and actually having brain fog like now? How does that affect recruiters thinking about women of our age, or are they getting on board finally with just more flexible working arrangements, or just understanding where we come from?
I have to say, menopause is a topic, and I think, we can all thank Davina McCall for bringing this into the public psyche. But it is probably one of the biggest areas of growth we've seen in corporate world in the last 18 months. So there isn't a employer that we talk to, that's large, mid-size, that doesn't have now a plan around menopause support. And that sometimes it's a policy. So i.e. as the employer, as an employee benefit, we will pay for your HRT or we'll pay for your alternative supplements, as an employee benefit, given it's charged on prescription. Others are running series of education programs. But what we're finding the most interesting is just how positively the male audience are finding it. And they're like, finally, I understand what's happening to my wife, or what happened to my mum at that phase. And I want to support, and now I understand it. And so it's not just about hot flushes and the odd kind of, brain freeze moment. People, I think, in business are really truly understanding, okay, this is a chemical phase the same way as adolescence is, the same way as we treat any other, phase where someone's going through treatments or have got, impact. And there's ways around it, and it's a moment in time. So, I would say it's a really positive thing, and I have yet to come across a larger employer who's not absolutely embracing it, because they do not want to lose women out of their workforce for something that is just a moment in time, that can be treatable, and can have, just a really good balance between what happens in work and home in that phase.
That's That's amazing. In fact, that always almost makes it worthwhile for women of our age to go and get jobs, to get access to free HRT and great videos and good learning programs. I mean, I know that's sort of a bit facetious, but thank goodness they're waking up to this, because they can tap such potential in this age group.
It's waking up to ageism. Yeah.
It is. And the challenge is, there is no one size fits all menopause. There is, so I myself, so as much as I'm not in a traditional menopause, I've got endometriosis. And so I've been put into chemical menopause and come out of it and had various things over the years. So experienced that since my mid-30s. So it's not also something that just happens to people in their 50s and beyond. A lot of people are perimenopausal throughout their 40s, but just don't know what it is that's happening or why it's happening. But actually accepting that this is 50% of the workforce and it's 50% of the population. So this isn't about one person having a bad day or a brain fog moment. This is going to be 50% of the people are going to have this kind of impact in some way, shape or form. And so we can't ignore it. We have to live with it and find ways of adjusting around it.
So bottom line is, us women in our 50s, perimenopause, menopausal, whatever, we mustn't be frightened of getting back into the job market, because there are places for us and there is more understanding. So I think that's a huge step forward. Thank you, Lindsay. That's honestly, I'm inspired.
I'm inspired. I really am inspired.
I might go and do that volunteering for reading thing. I'll be on for that. Yes. Oh, thank you so much. We've got years to go, haven't we, all of us? We've got years left, and we should... Well, I don't know about that, but no, we've got years of potential retirement, and it doesn't have to be this
just podcasting.
I don't know. It doesn't have to be like a twilight zone of doing nothing, does it? We can really find some purpose and do some really fun, creative, helpful things to navigate back to feeling like we are worth it, because we all are.
Another whole new career.
Reinvent ourselves. Yeah. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. It was brilliant. Well, how inspiring. Yeah. Good find, Liz. Good find.
I'm not pleased with that.
Yeah.
But I wish I'd found it before.
Well, before you were 55.
Exactly. No, I mean that. Literally before I was 55. That's it's spot on.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? It's really tapped into a market that... Well, I suppose we wouldn't think about it when we're in our 40s or 45, because we're still sort of occupied with maybe kids at home or something. But no, I can see that that's a big market share of, as she says, 50% of women are the population. So why shouldn't we do something that's cool, interesting, invigorating, that we're passionate about? And
you were really inspired by it, I could tell.
No,
you really were. You made you think, and that's the thing. Maybe you're a few years younger, just a few years younger than me.
No, I'm happy. Really, I mean, I always like volunteering. I'm very happy to give back anyway. But and I did sort of recording books for the blind and stuff when I was getting started in voice recording and voiceovers. But I hadn't realised that there was, I suppose I've just been busy. But I can spare an hour a week reading a book to kids.
most people can. Who, in our situation, I'm not
And
saying
you don't
obviously
need a
everyone can.
microphone like this. You just need a
just a
laptop,
laptop.
and an interest. And if your kids have gone off to university and you're missing that interest, do you miss those days when you would be able to sit on the bed and tell a story, read a book?
And then you turn around, they're falling asleep. That's the whole point of it. I loved it. I do miss it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just one thing that she mentioned, but definitely it sparks your imagination a bit, doesn't it?
Well, I think that's it. And I think you just need, you need a bit of help sometimes in life.
Yeah.
I
We
think
can
that's
all
it.
be Robert De Niro in The Intern, can't we? Bagsby Anne Hathaway. But what you lack in, I don't know, I suppose, energy, you make up for in wisdom and
Experience.
Experience, exactly.
And and recognising the mistakes you've made, and you can
I
pass
haven't
that
made
on.
any mistakes.
Of course not. No, you're perfect. Aren't you?
No, not perfect. No, but I think it's an avenue worth pursuing. So if any of you are listening and you're stuck in a rut, like Liz was saying, she felt, then start looking things up. And there's the Royal Voluntary Society. They're always looking for people. There's lots of opportunities on there too. Or check out 55 Redefined and see if that just gives you some ideas of things to do.
I think it will. It really will.
Yeah. I think what a lot of us want is flexibility. We don't want to be confined. I don't mean your spine,
I was going to
Liz.
say,
That's never coming back, love.
I just sat up as she said it.
Oh, Anthea. Yeah, we've stopped doing that whole shoulders
back.
thing.
Yeah.
But
You're not an inch taller.
but I think, if we could find something that fitted with our lifestyle so that we got balance. Maybe that's the thing, balance in your life and balance and purpose. Do you remember when we did the 3 Ps back in the day? All of episode 1, way ago.
And we couldn't think of any.
No, but I think we've both got plan and purpose and stuff in our lives now. And, I think...
I've definitely got purpose now. And then that's it. I've found this and I'm learning, seriously learning, getting out of my comfort zone. And I'm not saying anyone should start a podcast, but
don't start a podcast.
We
Do
don't want
not
competition.
start a podcast. The market is saturated. There's lots of people still hanging about from COVID who'd started 3 episodes and gave up. Don't do that.
We don't want those because
Yeah. Anyway, that's all from us this week. So it's goodbye from Michelle.
And it's goodbye from Liz.
So once again, we keep on saying goodbye and then I suddenly remember something that I meant to say. I bumped into this great lady, Justine Johnson, the other day, and she had set up Birdie London. It's an apparel sweater place. She did it with her friends and they did exactly that. They had no knowledge of the design industry or setting up a small business or anything. It wasn't their backgrounds. And so I just asked them if they could give us a bit of a voice note on how they experienced it and what they got from it. It's quite inspiring, really.
Having had a reasonably successful career in communications for about 15 years, I obviously, like many women, found myself putting my career on hold to have a family. I did try and work part-time for a while, but it wasn't really commensurate with the role. So fast forward to children being in their mid to late teens and myself finding that I had some time on my hands. Together with a very dear girlfriend, we had those sort of blue sky conversations while walking the dogs, thinking about crazy ideas and things that we could and couldn't do. And one day we decided that we would put all those years of experience, like so many women, together and do something rather than just talk about it. We said, no, why don't we do it? We likened ourselves to the lady at the White Company saying, I'm sure she used to have those thoughts and one day obviously thought she'd give it a go. Well, that's what we did. It wasn't a deep-rooted desire to have a new challenge. I think it was just a desire to see if we could do something more, if it was really all over or not. That was certainly from my perspective. And since 2017, we've had our hands more than full with a fledgling business, learning on as we went, a completely new industry, making clothes, designing, finding manufacturers, finding sales outlets, marketing. So using talents we had and discovering new talents within. So it's been a complete J-curve experience, lots of learning, lots of fun, a few tears on the way, but on the whole, nothing that I would change, and something that I would encourage anybody to do if they think they have an idea and they have the energy and the mental capacity to do it, then yes, why not challenge yourself again? It's never really too late.
Thanks for listening to Two Women Chatting with our special guests. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to us if you left a rating and review. Even better, share with your friends. And please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. There's a link on our Instagram bio and Facebook pages.